Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy, United People's TV, and Dan, your comment there just before the show cracked me up. He starts when he wants. Made me laugh. Sometimes, yeah, I do start when I want. It's my show. Anyway, welcome aboard. We're here to run through the latest news. We're going to be speaking about the international break. We're going to start building up towards a City game on Sunday. We'll speak about Senny Lammens. We'll speak about Onana a little bit more. Malacia and his move to Turkey. We'll speak through a little bit on Shesho, a little bit on the new stadium, a little bit on how we played this season, the build-up to it. And as I said, we start talking about City a little bit later on. You know the drill by now. Welcome aboard. If you're here, get involved in the chat. I'll try and answer as many of your comments as I can throughout the show. All right? And don't get offended if I don't read your comments out, because I can't read all of them. Let's see who's here from the mods and the members gang. And yeah, if you send in super chats, I'll always read the super chats. Within reason. Carl, good morning to you. Stephanie, good morning to you as well. We've got I'm making noises for some reason. I'm Potato, good morning to you. We've got so stupid, you literally make me say I am a potato every time you're here. It's probably why you do it. Fair enough. Teresa, good morning to you. Chris, we've got Steve Brooks. We've got a couple of non-members as well. We've got Tig, we've got Ivan Rizky, we've got Johnny, we've got Marco Roy. And some other members, we've got Stu G, Craig, Toby, Paul, and Shane. Full gang. Full gang is out here. Right, let's run through the latest news. And I want to start off by speaking about this. I think this is a really important day. I didn't actually realise it. It's like, is it Suicide Prevention Day? Yeah. It affects a lot of people. A ton of people. It's always better to speak rather than keep things inside. I don't really know what sort of advice I can give to you other than don't ever struggle by yourself. If I was to, this hasn't really got anything to do with suicide prevention, but just my own sort of experiences of when I was going through the whole big divorce situation, and I did that video where I sort of explained what was going on. I cannot tell you the amount of emails that I got. Honestly, it's in the hundreds of emails and messages that I got from people from all walks of life, some mentioning their own mental health situations, some mentioning about suicide. There's way too much personal info. I don't need to give you any names, but just the amount of people I didn't realize that video would affect. You don't have to be a dick. You can affect life in a good way. And that's kind of my sort of position on it all. So if you ever do need to reach out, you can reach out to me. Yeah, that's all. That's just want to say that at the start of the show. Samir, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. And can I just say, I think that's kind of why this community is how this community is, and why I'm looking forward to so much. Why I'm looking forward to it so much, to do some live shows and to meet some of you as well, because it feels like a proper little family. Well, big old family, let's be totally honest. But let's move on. England last night away at Serbia. Who watched it? I didn't. I really didn't. I do not care for international football. I feel like I would get some sort of exhaustion if I was to care about international football. I mean, I already get exhaustion watching bloody Manchester United, let's be totally honest. But England, fair play. Played well last night. 5-0 winners away at Serbia. Not an easy game. Even Rashford got himself a little cheeky penalty towards the end. Good for Thomas Tuchel. I can't wait for England to get knocked out of the World Cup semi-final. Please, going to be good fun. Same thing's going to happen, let's be totally honest. Gangshi, good morning to you, dude. Gifting 10 memberships. Can I say to everybody, the P.O. box, make sure you do not send anything to the P.O. box anymore. I think I told you that last week. We're now in the process. We're doing a test run of the new one that's been set up, and it's not Royal Mail. Screw you, Royal Mail. And once I've received it and I know that it's working, I can give you the address. And this one is going to be open to everyone globally, not just the UK. So it's a good thing. And it's good to see, ahead of the derby on Sunday, at least Haaland's having a nice quiet. Oh, never mind. Norway go and beat bloody Moldova 11-1 and he scores 5 goals. Someone's saying that, I watched bits of it. There wasn't much else on. There's always something on. Back in the day, that used to be a fair enough excuse. There's nothing else on. Yeah, but you don't have like 5 channels now. You've got about 200 channels and you've got everything on demand. There's not an excuse. You just need better series to watch. Right now, I'm watching Slow Horses. A little bit slow in the pickup of it, but I'm enjoying it. Gary Oldman. Everyone loves a bit of Gary Oldman. What else was I watching? I watched Untamed. That's the one about they're in Yosemite. I actually quite enjoyed that. There's quite a few I want to watch after this. I'm looking forward to the new Vince Gilligan series, Writer of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It's like a sci-fi one. I think it comes out in November. Looking forward to that. Jason is saying Haaland's a force of nature. Well, hopefully he's a force of nature until he comes up against Ligt on Sunday. Speaking of Ligt, great segue. Siraj, you're watching Sopranos. You're my best friend now. All right? You're my best mate. Tried to get Susie, my partner, into The Sopranos. She couldn't vibe with it. Really annoying because I want to watch it again. I watched that at uni for the first time, and my bloody housemates, I went to a lecture, came back, and they had watched like 4 episodes. So instead of watching it in the living room with them, I had to watch it in my bedroom on a laptop. It was dead annoying. That was absolutely dead annoying. Right. Speaking of internationals, as I said, some good news in terms of rest for De Ligt. He's played every minute of United's Premier League games so far, but he goes away with the Netherlands. Is Ron Koeman still the manager now? I don't even know. I don't even know if there's a manager anymore. Anyway, massively. Are there any Dutch fans watching? Can you tell me why De Ligt is so overlooked for the national team? Like, did he offend someone? What did he do? What did he say that put him so out of favour? If I remember correctly, it was previously to do with like a back 3 setup, and then like Stefan de Vrij was it? I call him stuff in the fridge, so it's easier. Still do. He's chosen ahead of him. Van der Hecker from Brighton is chosen ahead of him. It kind of looks like they've just chosen like everybody to go ahead of De Ligt. I don't particularly know why. MA is saying he's too slow down there. Casper is saying Koeman hates him. Is it still Koeman then as manager? It must still be Koeman then. Jason is saying he's too underrated the way he's been performing this season. I'm really enjoying watching De Ligt. I still personally think if we're continuing with this setup that we've got, that we need someone who plays that central centre-back role who's far more comfortable receiving the ball in midfield. He needs to be able to receive the ball under pressure inside a in a central defensive midfield space to create that bounce pass. That's where the keeper passes it straight to that central centre-back that goes up into midfield to create the 2, and then he passes it first time to one of the wide centre-backs. So you invite the press, it gives the wide centre-back space. But yeah, I don't really know what's going on with Koeman. But in terms of a good bit of news, is this. No, don't gear up for immune health. That's not the good news. Right? That bit of news there. I'm going to cover this in a little bit more detail. And lunchtime video today is going to be a sort of what's happening with Senny Lammens and Benjamin Shesko, because both of them could make their full Manchester United Premier League debut on Sunday against City. All right, so what's happened in this international break? I'll sum it all up. It's going to be more of like an info video. But the good thing here about Shesko is he's played 90 minutes twice for Slovenia. Now, the only game he's played 90 minutes for was Grimsby, right? And he took the penalty 10th after extra time because he was cramping up hard. Was it extra time in that game? Did he just go straight to pens? I think it just went straight to pens, isn't it? Can't actually remember now. I think it was straight to pens. Anyway, to see Sheshko get 2 full games under his belt, good news. Good news indeed. Right, let's move on and let's speak about transfers. Because we're still speaking about transfers on the 10th of September. Malacia. You remember I covered this a few days ago, right? This is from a Turkish journalist saying that Eyüpspor. Yeah, that's a great name. It's the most northern sounding Turkish name. Eyüpspor. Anyway, starting negotiations for Malacia, who wears the Manchester United kit. That's because he's a United player, mate. Probably a little bit of translation there. Anyway, he's now reporting that they have, apparently it was straight to pens. Well, there you go. Yeah, that game doesn't exist. I've just erased it from my mind. That's why I can't remember whether it went straight to pens or not. He's now suggesting that United and Elfspor have agreed a deal for Malacia, and now it's up to him what he wants to do. And if you're being completely honest, I'm not sure why he would stay at Manchester United. I think Man United, unfortunately for Malacia now, is just going to be full of nothing but bad memories and what ifs. So a fresh start for him, even if that is on loan. And you'll remember that we were in talks with Elche. Is that a Spanish team? I think they are. In talks with Elche over a loan for Malacia, but the only reason it didn't go through was because we tried to force an obligation to buy into it so that we could then extend Malacia's contract and then get a fee for him next summer. It might be that we've compromised and gone, right, okay, well, we don't want this, but let's save on his wages at least. Don't know what Malacia is on. Probably not crazy amounts of money. I would hazard a guess at somewhere in the region of 50 to 70 grand a week. If you think about where he came from and his position in the squad when he signed, because he was a backup to Luke Shaw, I reckon thereabouts. Still a bit of savings though, and I wish him all the best. So fingers crossed we get that deal done, and probably in the next, well, Turkish window closes on the 12th. Is that right? I think so. So we should be getting confirmation on Onana and fingers crossed Malacia's exits by Friday. Now, in terms of Onana, you know full well, I've already covered this, but just Laurie basically repeating, saying that he's flying to Trabzon via Paris after playing for Cameroon on Tuesday. And there was one goal that Cameroon conceded to Cape Verde. Baliba got absolutely bounced off the ball in midfield. And then I don't know who it was, but just legged it down, straight down the heart of the middle of that Cameroon team. And then Onana is just stuck on his line, doesn't come out, and did that awkward thing where he tries to go one way, but then realizes the ball was going the other way and then just kind of like falls. Anyway, I thought isn't it, football works in mysterious ways, right? Last season, it was Onana against Ederson in the Manchester derby in the Premier League. And now, it's Onana against Ederson. I suppose to be fair. Are both teams in Istanbul? No. Who does Ederson play for? Is it Galatasaray you joined? Is Trabzonspor in... How many bloody teams does Istanbul have? Trabzonspor. Oh, they just got... Is it just an away game for Trabzonspor? Yeah, they're from Trabzon. Yeah, right, okay. See. I thought that was a bit weird. How many teams do they have, though? Is it Besiktas, Fenerbahce, and Galatasaray? I think. Is it 3? Might be making that up. Wouldn't be the first time I made things up. Anyway, just a little bit more info on the Onana situation. This was from the Daily Mail Confidential. This is from Chris Wheeler, I think. This bit in yellow just annoys me. It really does annoy me, right? Confidential understands that minority owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe supported a decision to ditch Onana as United's #1 goalkeeper. Başakşehir as well. Are they there? How many bloody teams? I suppose, yeah, London's got a lot, so who am I kidding? Anyway, let's move on. I really don't like the idea and the conversation. You kind of see it being repeated, like how involved Ratcliffe is. I wish he was more hands-off. I really, really do. Space, you're saying, I'm from Turkey, and let me tell you, Trabzonspor has the wildest fans. If Onana makes those mistakes, karma. If I remember correctly, there was an amazing video. It's when Trabzonspor won the league. Was it 2 years ago? And I had this massive rave in the streets. And everyone was like waving phones. And then the DJ dropped it and everyone went absolutely nuts. I'm going to try and find that after. I loved that video. It was class. Anyway, I wish that Ratcliffe was more hands-off. I really wish that Ratcliffe was more hands-off. Anyway. Down there, you know this bit here. And maybe this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know what it was. Whether it was the hamstring injury. Whether it was coming back and asking for a pay increase. I don't know. Amram is understood to be unhappy that Onana suffered that hamstring tear in his second day of pre-season after returning from Cameroon, where a video emerged of him playing on a muddy outfield. And you'll remember this. Maybe you don't remember it. Maybe you never saw it. This is Onana playing back in Cameroon, not playing in goal, just on a muddy pitch, just enjoying himself with friends. But when you do that, and then you come back and on the second day of pre-season, you ping your hamstring and you miss the entire pre-season with the club that pays your contract. Did you really act that professionally in doing what you did there? Did you enjoy it? Oh, bit my tongue. Lost control of my mouth there. Anyway, did you enjoy yourself? Yeah, good. Well, you didn't exactly bring yourself back in the best condition as a consequence. Anyway, let's stop speaking about the old. Let's start speaking about the new. Oh, look at that. 552,000. Round of applause, people. Round of applause. I would love... it is basically impossible. It's definitely impossible. I'd love to reach 600 by December. That was sort of like a goal that we had. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a road to... We will do a road to 600k. Right now with Jim, big up Jim, head of community, we're working on the new PO box and we're working on some big stuff behind the scenes. We might do another little short survey because we really need your input on this one. We're trying to build something which is effectively for you as a community. So we need to know what features you want inside of it. So more to come. More to come. Manny, you're saying Onana's hamstring will be the reason. The evidence is Onana's performances last season. Yeah. But I'll be honest, I don't think the conversation about a pay rise helped either. And you're saying, to be fair, Cunha was playing street football with his mates on holidays. Yeah, but he was playing on a AstroTurf pitch. I mean, there is a little bit of a difference. And Onana, as a goalkeeper, was playing centre forward. It's all well and good if you don't have any injury problems. But if you do have injury problems, then you go, so what were you doing last month? Did this really help? You might say it's probably captain hindsight to be annoyed about it, but it is what it is. This is a very random segue. Are footballers still banned from riding motorcycles? Because I swear there was a point in time where United players were banned from riding them. And I think David Beckham still did. I don't know whether I'm making this up in my head, but I don't think I am. You can let me know in the chat. Anyway, let's speak about the new lad, Senny Lammens. And some really good news here from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic. He already had his first training session on Monday. His first week was settling in, maybe trying to get a rental. Don't know about his housing situation. I'll do a bit of research. Maybe there is a bit more info on that. That's kind of like private life, so I don't really think we need to know about that. But he had his first training session on Monday. So he's already been working with Amorim. He's already been working with Jorge Vital, who was the goalkeeping coach that was brought in with Ruben Amorim. And he's completely hands-off because Onana's gone. Binder's away on international duty, sitting on the bench. So it's Senny Lammens and Tom Heaton are the only two senior goalkeepers that we've got at Carrington. It's a perfect environment for him to settle in, get used to his new surroundings, the new training ground, the new goalkeeping coach, and to get his sort of feet in the door. That's what I think anyway. TVM saying Onana's foundation cost him a lot of money back home. Really didn't read his United contract well. The increase of wages was key for him to leave to Turkey. Yeah, it really does strike me that money was one of the big drivers, if I'm being completely honest. Steph, you're saying Lammens must start. I'm still not 100% certain whether he will, if I'm being totally honest. It's about weighing up the risks and the rewards. But I'll speak about it in a little bit more detail in a lunchtime video. A little bit more on Shesko and a little bit more on Lammens. And as I said, it's just going to be a nice summary to bring you up to date with what's been happening ahead of Derby on Sunday. Now, I imagine this is probably the last video that we're going to be doing about Carlos Baliba for a little while. And I just wanted to add in my opinion, which I feel really quite strongly about. But if you look at the start that he's had to this season, he's not been good. He's not been himself. His head's definitely been turned. Even if you look at that game with Cameroon. being bumped off the ball in the way that he was. It's not particularly him. That's not the player that we want to. I mean, it is, but you know what I mean. I think if we don't go after him in January, I don't think we sign him. So I think I'll probably, maybe in a couple of months' time, we'll do an update like what's happening with Carlos Baliba. We'll take a look at his performances in the first few months of the season, give him a much wider, much longer, I suppose, at the start of December, because that's when conversations will come back in. But anyway, I think there's no chance that we sign him unless we go after him in January. That's kind of the opinion I wanted to make clear in that video yesterday. Yeah, you're all talking about the Fergie rule with Beckham. I think that was right. Beckham loves his motorbikes. Damn good-looking bastard. Tom will do a good job at making him feel welcome, says Guy. That's a good point, really. I definitely think that Tom retires. Tom Heaton, that is. Retires this summer, follows in the footsteps of Johnny Evans. Did you know this? This is a random little segue. Speaking about former United players. Let me bring this bad boy up. Where is it? I can't remember. There you go. Right. We've got a video that we're working on in the background on sort of the academy and what's going on right now. But get a load of this. What a cracking start that's been for Darren Fletcher as our new under-18s coach. And it wasn't an easy environment for him to go into. I say it's an easy environment for the fact that it felt like our academy has been stable for a good while. But we've got a new head of academy in because Nick Cox is leaving. And Adam Lawrence leaving. And he was massively successful with our under-18s. So it was kind of like big shoes to fill. And some seriously talented players coming through. JJ Gabriel, you got Kai Rooney. It's quite a young under-18s squad this season compared to last season because players have, they're not under-18 anymore, so they move up. But look at that for a cracking start to the season. 4 games, 18 goals scored, and none conceded. Yeah, just wanted to share that. Like, congratulations to Fletcher in the start, and I hope he can continue it. This is, again, a random little segue in conversation. Do you think when it comes to former players being successful managers, I wonder if they did if somebody did like the deep dive in the research. My theory in my head is that midfielders largely make the best managers. Because as a midfielder, you have to be aware of absolutely everything that's going on the pitch. You can't just be aware of your own position and nothing else. You need to know what your defence is doing behind you. You need to know their positions. You need to know where your attackers are. You need to know everything. Someone's saying 14. That is 14. 6, 10, 14. Someone can't do the maths. Anyway, this is what happens when you read some stats and you don't do it yourself. It's 14 goals. Slap. Slap on the wrist there. Getting absolutely... We're saying down here, Danny's saying Premier League Hall of Fame vote to Vidic, Carrick, Neville or Evra. Dan, we had that conversation yesterday. I voted for Neville, and the community, all of you guys, you voted for Vidic. So that was R2, Neville and Vidic. Manny is saying, am I the only one that would start Heaton against City, knowing Senny will be there against Chelsea? Hey, look, man, I would have started Heaton against Arsenal. He was who I wanted against Arsenal. We didn't. We played Bayern, we made mistakes, and it cost us. I would have started Heaton against Fulham. I don't think Bayern directly costed us in that game, but he still made me crap my pants about 7 times every time a corner came in. I think if Heaton was going to start for United, it would have already happened, wouldn't it? And you're saying there's a point now, I think I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just a theory, but I'm hoping, let's be totally honest, right? As successful as we have been as a football club, who's been the most successful ex-United player as manager? from the last, 20 years. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Mark Hughes. Wouldn't say he was particularly successful. Steve Bruce. He was an all right manager. Roy Keane. Better as a pundit. Van Nistelrooy. Early doors. Wayne Rooney. Not particularly. Dan Fletcher. Only just getting started. Gary Neville. He's a pundit now. Michael Carrick. I think Carrick's a good one. Solskjaer. Solskjaer's probably up there. Someone's saying, was McKenna playing for us? Laurent Blanc. Keane was great in the Championship. A lot of shouts down there for Carrick, but it's kind of my point. We haven't really had a top level elite managing a top 10, 20 club in the world and taking them to trophies and titles. Ole is probably a decent shout. Carrick's probably a decent shout, but there isn't really a standout candidate. I think that's kind of the point I was making. I think Ruud won the Dutch league and then he lost the cup with PSV, or was it the other way around? One of the two. Yeah, if there was one manager I could choose to come back into if there's one manager I could choose that when he was United manager, he had the sort of structure and support that we've got now, I would definitely choose Solskjaer. Definitely. Without a shadow of a doubt. Some of you might choose Mourinho. I would choose Solskjaer. Right, anyway, let's move on. Thought this was a good little nugget of information. Casemiro. Obviously away on international duty with Brazil, but got himself suspended. So, Casemiro actually came back to the club early. Came back to training, came back to Carrington a few days early because he was suspended for the second game against Bolivia. I like that, man. Fair play to him. Why is anyone mentioning Louis van Gaal? When did Van Gaal play for United? Did I miss that bit? Arnold? Would have loved to have seen Cantona coach as a team. Cantona as a coach. Imagine how complicated his tactical talks would be. He was speaking philosophies and cryptic sentences while sitting there smoking a cigar. Did anybody go and see his gigs? Was it last year? He was doing a tour. He was doing a music tour. What a dude, man. What a dude. Anyway, fair play to Casemiro. I think that's the right attitude and right approach. I really, really, if there's one player, I'll ask this to everyone down here, right? If there's one player you'd love to prove you wrong this season, who would you choose? Who would you say? You know, one player, you've got your preconceptions in your head about how good they are, how much they're going to contribute. Who would you love to be wrong about the most? I think Casemiro is who I'd choose. Remember when I said, I think there's more chance of United being pleasantly surprised by one of our midfielders surprising us rather than one of our goalkeepers. Because I thought there was no chance it was going to happen from our goalkeepers. A couple of shouts down there for Mount, from Matt and Suraj. Quite a few of you, actually. And Highwell, we've got Eunice and Vibav, and quite a few more are all saying Ugarte. I think Ugarte is a fair shout as well. We really are desperate. I think that's probably why I'm leaning on Casemiro. We're just desperate for somebody in midfield to surprise us in the right way. I never saw that coming. Oh, man, look how good he's been for the last couple of months. Didn't see that happening. Anyway, he's back at Carrington. You know what Casemiro wants, and it's one of those situations where it actually helps United. I don't mean this in a horrible way. I don't really think his priority this season is not Manchester United. His priority this season is get into that Brazil squad and be as fit as I can for the last World Cup I will ever play. That's what he's at the back of his mind. That's what's driving Casemiro. But at the same time, United can benefit from that because it then might mean that Casemiro has a better season domestically to prepare himself for his ultimate aim for the season, which is the World Cup. Quite a few of you are saying Cobby down there, or in fact, there's one person spamming Cobby. So, sorry, Elan, you are getting libeled. I'll see you in 24 hours, mate. Don't come in here spamming. Because you will get Das Boot. Anyone ever watched Beer Fest before? I used to love Beer Fest. Das Boot and you got twisted towards the end. Come on. Hobby's a fair shout, but you can't come in and spamming. I'll get booted. Manny's saying, you serious, Sam? He's done the work. He's over 30 and he's looking better than half the 21s. What? I'm just saying what's driving Casemiro this season, I don't think is Manchester United. I think it's his last World Cup. I think that's just an observation. And if that is what's driving him, then United will benefit from it because he'll be better domestically. Anyway, let's speak about the game. Man, United had some start to the season, haven't we? Bloody hell. Arsenal to begin with. The Mighty Grimsby. Now we've got City away. And then we've got Chelsea at home. Then Brentford away. Then Sunderland at home. Then an international. So we've got 4 games left. I say 4 games left. We've got 4 games in this little run of fixtures before the next international break. And then we come back and it's Anfield away. Etihad and Anfield are our 2 games after international break. Now, let's just do a little cheeky poll down here. I don't know exactly what the polls are. What's your prediction? Right? City, draw, or United? I wish that somebody had a somebody had like a tracker for the poll results on these predictions. Because United would have won 100% of games forever if the community was right in the poll. But ready we are. Wouldn't you love to see a little bit of a repeat of that? City away last season. That game was... And this is going to be really interesting to watch, right? Last season, in the big away games, Liverpool, City, and Arsenal too, United sat in quite a deep low block, but we did it very, very well. Like, the defensive shape was disciplined. We were cutting out the spaces. We weren't conceding too many opportunities. We were defending our box very well. And in that game, you know what happened. 2 late goals, that ball from Martinez, that touch from Ahmad, that finish. I went nuts. I was hungover watching that day. I remember that. But I'm going to be interested to watch if United approach the game the same. Because ultimately, Amorim knows that if he is to really, truly succeed as Manchester United manager, we can't be going into these games and just playing a bit like Sporting, like he did. Because he said that, didn't he? After Sporting beat City 4-1, 5-1, he said, look, I can't do this as Manchester United manager. I can't play like this. Now, he did it last season because it was a needs must. I'm going to be interested to see if he approaches it differently. I'll tell you what, we've got a pretty damn decent track record. Overall, a far better track record in the bigger games under Amorim than we do in the lesser games. 21 is coming. I'll never predict a loss. City looks unsettled, someone says down there. Anti saying cagey first half, more open second half, and United to win 2-1 with the late winner. What do you mean, like exactly what happened last season? And yeah, I can see a few of you mentioned this down there. Marmoush went off injured for City, well, for Egypt. So it'll be interesting to see whether he's fit or not, but they've got about 450 strikers. So let's be honest, things will be all right. Richie's saying, Sam, they're not in the best form right now. I think the international break came at a really good time for City. Anybody watch that game against Brighton? Did you see how open their midfield was? You know, one of the biggest problems that we had under Ten Hag was how open our midfield was. Bagel FC. Nothing in the middle. You could just, as long as you bypass the front press, you'd always have like 40, 50 yards of space to run into. It's kind of how City are playing right now. Whether it's Reinders going too aggressive, going for I don't quite know, but Brighton absolutely exploited that space. Again, just by beating the first press and then running down on City's defence. So that space will probably be there for us. And if you're looking at, I could have easily done a video on this week. I didn't really want to. The reason I didn't want to is because I didn't want to gloss up United's start to the season too much. United have been better than the results. But we've also lost to Arsenal, drawn against Fulham, beaten Burnley, and obviously we've lost against Grimsby. So I just don't think it particularly would have been the best time for me to try and gloss up results. But when you dive into the numbers down here, and this is from the BBC, and it's interesting they say the last 10 Premier League games. So of course, that takes in the last 7 from last season. You can see here, right? United, 17th. And by the way, that is bottom because 3 teams have been relegated. So only ever-present sides are included in this, which means there can only be 17. We have the least goals out of anybody, but the most shots. That probably is such a mind-boggling stat. And the worst conversion rate as a consequence. Attack-wise, we're totally fine. Defence-wise, we're actually, conceding the second least shots out of anybody in the league, which is quite surprising. But I just didn't want to dive too much into the numbers. But when you do, United, as you can see from the title up there, it feels like United have been better than the results. But we know the performances are not what. Performances, that's a lie. Because the Arsenal performance, despite the result, I suppose it was because of the first game of the season, it was early on. United fans saw the methods against Arsenal, just didn't see the outcome. We didn't get the goals. We didn't get the win. We didn't get the result that we should have done. If we do the same thing against City, let's say, for example, right? Probably doesn't happen, but let's say, for example, that United play really well against City. We have like 20-odd shots against City. City sneak a goal from a set-piece mistake, and they win the game 1-0. But United have been really, really good. We played really, really well, but United don't win. I don't imagine it will be the same reaction to what happened against Arsenal, because it would have been the second time it's happened. You know what I mean? I think a lot of United fans, because it was that first game of the season, reacted in the way they did. Right? Borg's down there saying, let's not take the piss. We're not getting smashed. Look, famous last words and all that. I'm more confident going into this City game than I was going into that Burnley game. Because we simply still do struggle so much against lower block disciplined teams. Man, this is not an Amorim problem, by the way. This is a Manchester United problem that's been there for so long. We play better in spaces. We play better in transitions. And you might argue that if you look at United's transfer activity, that's kind of what we've been geared towards. It's not that we're going to be going full-blown transitional football, kicking the ball as quickly as possible from back to front. But it's a case of you won't, and you still won't really see United build up for like 30 passes before then passing it through. I would say passing moves are kind of like 10 or less from back to front. I'm looking forward to the game on Sunday. I'm nervous, as you would be. But I just think still it suits United more playing in these bigger games. The players get G'd up for it. And they inherently have something in these games that they just don't have in other games. But also the space that gets left by playing against a team that wants to be on the front foot suits United more. And he's saying we've got the technical ability to break down low blocks now more than we did before. Yes, we do. And I'll tell you what, it's a big thing. And this is actually a really big thing when it comes to low blocks. And it's not Mbumo's pace, although he is rapid. There's only one player faster than him. One thing that can really break down low blocks is wicked crosses into the box, into that undefendable area. You know exactly where I mean. Just in front of the penalty spot. It's got whip on it. It's got pace on it. So it just needs a glancing header. Because that can completely negate the low block. Goes over everybody. And if you have someone like, I don't know, 6'5" Benjamin Shesko in there to get on the end of them, you've got a weapon to get past the low block. I'd actually expect United to send in a fair amount of crosses. Depending on whether Shesko starts or not. We'll find out. But yeah, that's definitely a way to get past it. You know, the ultimate way to get past a low block is to have the technical players, is to play through it, is to drag people out of defences, shift from left to right-hand side, move in the defence until there's a gap, and then boom, you go through it. Easier said than done. But yeah, I expect United to have plenty of crosses on Sunday, and I don't think... I'm not talking David Moyes against Everton crosses. Pub quiz question, how many crosses did we have in that game? I think I know what the answer is. I'm going to see if I'm right. I'll write mine down. Pen. Everybody loves a pub quiz. Question. Right. This is how many crosses I think we had in that game. 89. How many crosses we have in that game? Man United, Everton, crosses, Moyes. Oh, 81. 81 crosses. Oh, that's grim. Oh, was it Everton? It wasn't even Everton. It was against Fulham. Bloody hell. Well done, Sam. You ruined that one. It was Fulham, not Everton. Anyway, 81. I was wrong. Unbelievable, Jeff. Unbelievable. Right, let's go back to speaking about City. Got a little bit distracted there. Manny, you're saying, I think Shesho starts. We need to convert. We will dominate the chances. And yeah, I'll go back to that there. What about this season? Let's have a look. I don't know, but over the last 10 games, United have had more shots than anybody in the bloody Premier League. And we've also had a worse conversion rate than anybody in the Premier League. Yeah, Mikey, if it was Fulham, if I remembered it was Fulham, I would have remembered it was 81, not 89. My bad. What else is saying down here? Sheshko did play for Slovenia. Yep, I'll run through that in the lunchtime video. Honestly, you know how international breaks can really drag and really be boring, and I've honestly felt this one has been okay for Manchester United. I think it's because we beat Burnley. Okay, right. Well, let's let the first few weeks of the season settle. I think the international break probably suited City more than it suited United because they were bang out of form. But yeah. What we're going to have this week. We've got lunchtime video today will be what's happening with Shesho and Lammens. And also, I'll give you any updates in there on Cunha and Mount's fitness. But right now, United are definitely keeping their cards close to their chest in that. And I think that's a good thing. But I'll speak about them ahead of the game. Then tomorrow, hopefully going to have a little mini doc on Yoro, which I'm looking forward to releasing. Think he deserves one. Really does. Special player. Friday, we'll have the starting 11 video out for City. And then Saturday, hopefully, going to have a what's happening with Shea Lacey. Following his start to the season, his performances, playing with under 18s, etc., etc. And then we're going to probably have an update. There's so many of these videos I'm looking forward to doing. Radek, Vitek, JJ Gabriel, probably do one on Kai Rooney. And that's only with some of the younger players. Right. DP is saying, I was at the Burnley match and we played a lot better than the scoreline, believe me. We played better than the scoreline in the Arsenal game. We played better than the scoreline in the Fulham game. First half, for sure. Second half, maybe not so much. And we played better than the scoreline in the Burnley game. At least we won that one. United are going to have to make it click. So there's a game that happens this season, and I bloody hope it's Sunday. Let me check on the poll results, by the way. We've got 1,000 votes are in, 68% of you are saying United are going to win. Would be nice. I wonder what the odds are on United this time. Put 50 quid on us when we beat them in the FA Cup final. That was like 6-1. Anyway, I'll wrap up for today. Thank you all for tuning in. If you are new, please do subscribe to United People's TV. I'll be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And I'll see you at lunch. Take it easy.